Senator Sherrod Brown is the senior senator from my native state of Ohio. Prior to his election to the Senate in 2006, he represented Ohio's 13th congressional district in the House of Representatives. He serves as chair of the Senate's Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. He works tirelessly on behalf of the American worker, stressing the dignity of work in the great tradition of generations of Jewish labor leaders. He played a key role in the creation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and successfully led the fight to make the Earned Income Tax Credit permanent. He joined with the late John Lewis to co-chair the congressional delegation to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the March for Voting Rights in Selma. Mindful of the importance of agriculture to Ohio's economy, he's the only Ohio senator in half a century to serve on the Senate Agriculture Committee, where he helped write the most recent Farm Bill. As I have learned, he is also a man of great patience, and I thank him for waiting, but it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, Senator Sherrod Brown.
You're here.
Thank you, Greg. Good to be back for fifth or sixth or seventh year at least. So thank you for that. You ought to have a chair instead of having to sit on the floor. Okay. Anyway, thank you, and Eric, congratulations to you. Thank you. And I told him I've never sat next to somebody who has his picture on a candy bar. That's kind of He said he's trying to impress his Jewish mother. So how do you do that? But thank you so much. Rabbi Gary Zola, my longtime friend, we met through Hebrew Union College, and Hebrew Union College, for people that may not know this history, was founded more than 140 years ago, at least 150 years ago, by Rabbi Weiss. It was the beginning of Reform Judaism, and it was in 1940 where Rabbi Heschel came from Warsaw to Berlin to Cincinnati for his first year in the New World. Then he went on to do what he did as an incredible person of God in New York City. Just a bit about, because you're sitting in one of the most beautiful, we were talking about this a moment ago, most beautiful rooms in the Capitol. This is the Kennedy Caucus Room. This is the room where the Titanic hearings were held. It was the room where the McCarthy hearings were held. It was the room where the Watergate hearings were held. It's the room where JFK announced for president. It's the room where RFK announced for president, in this beautiful room. So when I think about addressing this group every year, understanding how history is thrust on all of us, and some of us, I would say members of Congress, aren't so good at this, at understanding our history. And the Jewish community is certainly, probably more than almost anybody else in this country, understand the importance of history. That's what makes so troubling what's happening in the Middle East now, as you know. There is simply no place for anti-Semitism, no place for hate. I appreciate the speakers before me and all of you standing up against anti-Semitism and against racism and against hate. You put your faith into action, the world's a better place as a result. On a more positive note, 2 weeks ago I had the pleasure of going to the investiture, which is the installation of a new federal judge, the investiture in Columbus of Rachel Blumkatz. And I worked with the White House selecting her, 40 years old, brilliant mind, selecting her to be a Sixth Circuit district judge in Ohio, representing Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Thank you. And she, in her installation, the night before the installation, she had a party of sorts, a celebration at her local temple on the east side of Columbus. And she talked a lot about her faith, talked a lot about Tikkun Olam. And that's particularly meaningful to me because my mother was so involved with the YWCA, whose mission is to eliminate racism and to empower women. Tikkun Olam is obviously the center of faith for her and many of you in this room. She's part of that proud tradition. She is a 40-year-old, 41-now-year-old judge who I have higher designs for her at some point in her career, but we will see. Last thing I wanted to mention is many of you are familiar, I think probably all of you are familiar with the letter from the Birmingham jail, and you probably read it in high school. It's worth reading again. Dr. Every year, and the senator from Oklahoma has joined me on the floor to read this letter. We bring a bipartisan group of senators together. He sent a letter, Dr. King was sending a response to the white Christian ministers, the quote-unquote moderate ministers in Birmingham who were resisting voting rights, saying, be patient and we will get you voting rights. And Dr. King said in the middle of his letter from Birmingham jail, he said, human progress never rolls in on wheels of inevitability. Human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It really charges all of us for activism. I mean, you've joined at Greg's and others' invitation to be here because you care, because you're activists, because you want to make a better world. Thank you for letting me be part of this.